The original Halo Bungie trilogy has some of the best levels of all time, not just in the Halo franchise, but some of the best first-person shooter levels ever made. But it also has some of the worst. So let's rank the original trilogy's levels from the worst to the best. The only rule is that we're ranking this on heroic difficulty, because that seems to be the difficulty that Bungie balanced these games for. If we're doing a legendary ranking, this ranking is gonna look very different. Hey, Jarek here. I pretend to be a dragon on the internet, and this is a nifty tier list that will tell you how I really feel about these levels instead of just an arbitrary ranking. I will reveal the tiers as we go along, starting with the last place tier, the goddamn library. But believe it or not, the last place level isn't actually the library. It instead is Quarantine Zone. I don't know if this is going to be a controversial pick or not, and trust me, I will be getting to the library soon, but I actually despise playing Quarantine Zone more. To explain why, I need to talk about the Flood. The Flood, lore-wise, is amazing. I love what it is. At a glance, it just looks like space zombies. In execution, it's far more terrifying. Something that can devour all sentient life in galaxies. Something so terrifying, ancient beings decided to kill themselves and everything nearby to get rid of it. I think the one piece of media that really shows how terrifying the Flood is that one Keys terminal. You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh God, you don't want Earth, you want everything. Get out of my head. Miranda, is that you?
Forget everything.
No, please, don't let me forget.
However, if you never watched the cutscenes and you only played the Halo games, at least Halo 1 and 2, you would never know this. You would think they're just space zombies. Because gameplay-wise, there's really only two enemies. Enemies that run at you and try to hit you, and enemies that blow up. And yeah, the ones that run at you and try to hit you occasionally lazily stand in place shooting at you, but that's hardly an upgrade unless they have a rocket launcher, then it's just annoying, albeit sometimes funny. My point here is that the only way to make these enemies more dangerous is to just spawn more of them, and then you're just playing a zombie game. It's not particularly engaging to just strafe around the same enemies for hours. To make things even worse, the way Halo 1 and 2 dealt with the Flood just resulted in clown closets, so it felt like the enemies would never stop spawning, so you never tried to even bother and would just go right through them. Quarantine Zone is a perfect example of why this is wrong. If you sit back and try to kill all the enemies, it will take all day. But trying to take one of the vehicles and drive through everything as quickly as you can feels like RNG whether you live or die. It's tedious at best and frustrating at worst. Oh, and to make things even better, the level ends with a defense section on a very slowly moving gondola, because boy, Halo 2 loved doing this. Gosh, I love just sitting on a slow moving gondola fighting the same boring Flood over and over and over again. This level sucks. It's so bad, it's not fun. Into the goddamn library tier you go. Alright, in second to last place, we have the actual library, the level that I think most people will consider to be the worst in all of Halo. And until I made this video and really looked at these levels, that's kind of how I looked at the library too. That sentence started like I was going to defend it. I'm not defending this level. This level is freaking awful. It is 4 floors of the same looking hallways, fighting the same enemies over and over and over again. The same boring enemies with clown closets, resulting in the best way to fight through this level to just run through the enemies and not fight them. Until you get to a defense section where sometimes your best bet is to sit in a corner where enemies may not find you. The best way to play this level is literally to not play it by running through it or trying not to engage with the enemies. And it just lasts forever, man. 4 floors of this? To make it even worse, the whole reason you're there is to pick up the index, which you spawn about 100 feet away from. Oh, and may I remind you, the Oracle teleported you here? Why didn't he just teleport me on top of the elevator to immediately grab the index? This level sucks. This level is so bad. There's a reason no one likes it. There's a reason this tier is listed after it. Into the goddamn library tier you go. In third to last place is the level that happens right before Quarantine Zone, Sacred Icon. I honestly don't have many notes here. It is another level that plays very similarly to Quarantine Zone. The Flood I still don't find to be very fun to fight, and your best bet here is to cloak and try to go through the enemies and not be seen. Again, when the best way to play the game is to not play the game, you know there's a problem. until it gets to the end and there's a defense section. Great, because we all learned from the library that we love defense sections against the Flood. Into the goddamn library tier you go. Alright, and we move into a tier above this, which is still a really awful tier because it starts with 2 betrayals. Halo CE is such a fascinating game of highs and lows. I hate playing the 2 betrayals. This feels like padding. In fact, it just is padding. There is no reason for this level to exist. It doesn't do anything in the story, and at the end of the level, Cortana teleports you out in a way that is never seen again in the rest of the franchise. They were definitely just trying to add an hour to the game. This level is just backtracking. It's backtracking on a level you have already played before, except now with an enemy that is far less fun than the Covenant. In concept, seeing the Flood fight the Covenant is neat. In execution, it still means you have to fight the Flood, which is so boring, especially when you've already done it on a level you've already played through. 2 Betrayals goes into backtracking, but now with an awful enemy tier. In 5th, the last place, is a level that is very similar to 2 Betrayals, that is Keys. But at least you have a reason for going to this level. You need to get keys. He has codes that you need, and he's still alive for now. Unfortunately, it's still just backtracking on a level you have already played before, but now with the Flood. Except for a brief deviation where you jump out of the ship just to have to go back in the ship, and again, you can't really stop because then you get overwhelmed by Flood because they have clown closet spawners, and gosh, this is just so annoying. Can you tell I really don't like the Flood in Halo 1 and 2? Keys goes into backtracking, but now with an awful enemy tier. Alright, moving up another tier, still a pretty negative tier. This is the level that many of you are probably waiting for me to talk about. That's Cortana. Now, I don't really hate the Flood in Halo 3 like I do in Halo 1 and 2. However, Flood-heavy levels have notoriously been bad largely because they lack variety. Thankfully, in Halo 3, Flood do have a bit more variety. They still have enemies that just run up and hit you, but now they have enemies that attack at range, they have bigger, heavier enemies. The enemy is just a lot more interesting. The AI of the Flood also show a bit more intelligence, at least in combat. That sounds like it would be counterintuitive, but these enemies still show a blatant disregard for their own life, which is what fits for the Flood, and they seem fine-tuned to doing specific things that is the best to kill you. Now, a lot of the reasons why people really hate Cortana pertain to the legendary difficulty on this level, but again, this is just for heroic. And on heroic, I don't think this is as bad as the other Flood levels. Don't get me wrong, it's still not really fun. Like, this is still a variation on space zombies, basically. And you're mostly running through disgusting orange-looking tunnels with butthole wall doors. But the main thing that really makes me not rank it as low as the other Flood levels is that it's nowhere near as long. Bungie finally realized with Halo 3 that a longer game doesn't necessarily mean a better game, and a shorter level that doesn't overstay its welcome is much better than something like 2 Betrayals. Oh my god, Cortana, would you fuck off? Still, I don't like this level, so it goes in the don't care to play it tier. In 27th place, we have High Charity. This is another Flood level, and in hindsight, this level definitely could have gone in a backtracking but now with an awful enemy tier, but I don't quite feel as negatively about it, but looking at this level doesn't make me want to play Halo 2 again. It's the last level in Halo 2 where you play as Master Chief, and as a result, it's pretty underwhelming. You've been through these purple hallways before, you've fought the Flood before. Don't care to play it tier it goes. In 26th place is the Armory. This is a cutscene and a tutorial. One that for some reason you can't play in co-op. I don't know why this is the case. It's always been this case, even in the original Xbox version. If you think I'm wrong, go look it up. It's actually not the case. So many of us remember being able to play this in co-op when it first came out, but we never have been able to. I really don't know why they did this. It's kind of annoying to have somebody play Halo 2 for the first time and then to have them play this level on their own and then have them join me afterward. Anyway, cutscene and tutorial, it goes in meh tier. In 25th place is Halo. This level is a fantastic introduction to the vehicles. It's the first time you ever get to drive the Warthog. So why is it way down here? Well, because in execution, what you're really doing is just driving to 3 nav points and then doing a tower defense section, and that's just boring. I don't hate it with all my being, but I don't really want to replay it. I just feel very meh about all of this. In 24th place is Truth and Reconciliation. Again, if we're playing on Legendary, this one goes way down, I feel like. But on Heroic difficulty, meh. Sure, it's the first time you ever get a sniper, but most of it is just you walking down the same purple corridors over and over again. One of the things you might do when you get into this bay area is to skip most of the level by grenade jumping up a few floors. And once again, if you're motivated enough to skip most of the level, because you probably don't want to play most of it, it can't be that high on this list. I have a feeling this one's also going to be somewhat controversial, but I don't know. This level's always somewhat bored me, but I've never really hated it. It's always just kind of been there. Straight to meh tier you go. In 23rd place is the Oracle. This level has a somewhat bad first half, but a good second half. The first half consists of you sitting and waiting on an elevator while Flood and Sentinels attack you, which is boring and not very fun. Then you end up sitting in a room while Flood attack you waiting for the doors to open, which again isn't very fun. But after this, it picks up with you trying to chase down the heretic, resulting in you going up to the top and cutting down these wires, which is awesome. If you jump at the wrong time, you can fly right out to space. The Heretic is one of the stupidest characters in all of Halo, by the way. The Heretic starts talking to the Arbiter, who is listening because the Oracle starts explaining what's happening, and that's basically a deity to him, just for him to start blasting. You had the Arbiter listening. He could have possibly turned to your side. And by the end of the game, the Arbiter did turn to your side. But you're dead, because you were dumb. The second half of this level definitely carries though, so it goes up into the good tier. In 22nd place is the Great Journey, the final level in Halo 2. And I'm actually kind of mixed on this level. The first half is pretty fun. You're just fighting enemies going through these rooms until you get to this part and you're just defending a Scarab and a Banshee. This part sucks. I'm just kind of sitting there waiting like, hurry up, open the door so I can keep playing the game. Once the door does blast open, you have a decent fight with a bunch of brutes, and then a really underwhelming boss fight just for the game to end in a to be continued. It feels weird to put the last level of Halo 2 this low, but it definitely can't go any higher than this. The first half was good, but the second half is not so good. As a whole, I do think the good outweighs the bad, so it goes into good tier. In 21st place is Floodgate. Hey, would you look at that? A flood level that isn't awful. I already mentioned most of the reasons earlier as to why this level isn't that bad, and that is that the Flood has kind of been restructured. There's more enemy types, and as a whole, the Flood are less resilient to certain weapons for seemingly no reason. Yeah, not much to say here. It's just a pretty solid level. Goes in good tier. In 20th place, Assault on the Control Room. This is one of the biggest Halo levels just ever. You do spend a good amount of time in these copy-paste rooms, which I remember distinctly not liking when I first played the game. In fact, the rooms are so similar, they had to put arrows on the ground so you wouldn't get lost. But I don't know, over the years this doesn't really bother me that much. I find fighting through these rooms to be pretty fun. But the thing most people will probably remember is the vehicle combat once you're outside. You get full range of vehicles here, from warthogs to tanks. This is Halo's sandbox on full display, and it can be a lot of fun. Up to good tier it goes. In 19th place, we have Uprising. Once again, I don't have too many notes here. A lot of this level is fighting enemies in CQB, and Halo 2's combat is pretty fun, so naturally this level is pretty fun. Until you get into the ghost sections, which is mostly driving down a narrow canyon with a good amount of enemies, and yeah, you can take it slow and kill all of them, but I don't know, I find that to be kind of boring, so I mostly just want to drive through, which then runs the risk of you dying and wasting time. I also really don't care much for these large areas here. I can't even really pinpoint why I find them to be annoying, but they're just kind of annoying. They end up playing a bit too cover shootery, but without the cover. The level is obviously still overall good, so into the good tier it goes. In 18th place, we have the Pillar of Autumn, where it all began. Now, this level is pretty limiting, as it is the first level, as I said, so it's supposed to function as sort of a tutorial of sorts. That said, for being an incredibly claustrophobic and linear level, it's pretty fun. You get to try out a decent amount of the sandbox, and the game doesn't hold your hand that much. Fighting the Covenant is a fun thing to do, especially when you have an AR or a pistol in your hand. What can I say? It's a solid introduction to the Halo franchise. Good tier. In 17th place is Crow's Nest. Despite mostly fighting in just hallways, this level ends up being a good amount of fun, largely because of how the brutes have been reworked. I've neglected to mention this till now, but I've never really cared too much for brutes in Halo 2. First off, their designs just look like big ape in space, but like, why? That doesn't really look very alien-like. Again, it's just big monkey. All the other designs look very alien. What happened here? On top of that, they're just kind of bullet spongy, then they get mad and run at you. In Halo 3, the brutes are way more engaging. They kind of fight more like the elites do, which is nice because the elites aren't enemies anymore, so something has to fill that void. The end result is a solid and fun experience. Good tier. In 16th place, the last one in the good tier, is Cairo Station. This is your introduction into Halo 2's combat, and your introduction into dual wielding for the first time. And may I just say, the gunplay in Halo 2 feels fantastic. I don't know what it is, I couldn't tell you. Something about the way these bullets hit just is different than the first game and the third game. Maybe it's the proper ragdoll, maybe it's unloading 2 SMGs into a group of grunts, I don't know. But the Covenant are attacking space stations, and you need to give them back their bomb. This will see you repelling boarding attempts and fighting cloaked elites. There's a good amount more variety here than in the Pillar of Autumn, so overall I have to rank it higher. This level was very close to being in the tier above it, but I figured I'd put it right at the top of good tier because it's really fun. I do enjoy it. In 15th place, the tier above good tier, Gravemind. Don't get angry at me. As a reminder, we are not playing on Legendary. If we're playing on Legendary, this is very different. Unless you really like dying before the screen is done fading out of black.
Brutes!
Anyway, you're now in High Charity. You get to see High Charity from the inside. The end result is Master Chief mowing down endless hordes of Covenant, breaking out some prisoners, and listening to some truly classic music. This is just a solid good time, man. No, not good, great time. In 14th place is Halo. No, not the Halo 1 Halo level, the Halo 3 Halo level. It feels weird having the end of the trilogy be this low, but truthfully, the first half of this level isn't that great. You storm this pyramid structure, fighting Flood along the way, finally end up killing 343 Guilty Spark, but the way you do it isn't really that satisfying as a boss battle. The end result is satisfying. We've been wanting to kill this guy since Halo 1, so at least you get to finally do it. And then you get that glorious Warthog run. This is such a good way to end the franchise. Yeah, bringing it back from Halo CE, but it was great in CE, so why not do it again? And then you get that music. Yeah, without a doubt, this goes up in great tier. In 13th place, we have Savo Highway. This is one of the larger levels in Halo 3, with most of it being driving sections. However, you're not pushed along at the game's pace. You can drive at any pace you want, and take any vehicle you want. Hell, you can walk if you really want to, it'll just take a while. This level is a great showcase for Halo's sandbox. While most of it is spent in vehicles, there's a decent amount of on foot here as well. Just be careful not to stay on foot for too long or you get run over by a chopper. It's also, in general, a pretty level. Its aesthetics stand out as different from the other ones. Yep, this is going up into great tier. In 12th place, we have Regret. The first half of this level is spent fighting through ruins. Something about the way these rooms are split apart and being able to be shot at from other catwalks just plays really well. Unless you're on Legendary, but we're not talking about that. It does have a little bit of a blip where you're stuck fighting on a gondola, but this is one of the less egregious gondola defense sections in the game. You can have some fun with this. It's just not as fun as if you weren't doing it. The Hunter fight previously and the resupplies of drop pods make it worth it, and you get to punch one of the prophets in the face. Okay, to be fair, this boss battle is kind of underwhelming, but I didn't hate it, it's just there. Overall, I didn't regret playing this level. Great tier. In 11th place, we have Sierra 117. Let's ignore the fact that Chief just decides to jump out of the ship at the beginning of the game and somehow crashes from space and is perfectly fine. This is, in my opinion, the best starting level out of the original trilogy. This was one way to show off the 360's hardware. This level is pretty. it still looks good. I distinctly remember playing Halo 3 for the first time and then groaning when I saw a brute, just to realize that they're not really that annoying to fight anymore. Hey, they're pretty fun, and you get a pretty wide assortment of weapons right from the get-go. The level starts out linear and then it opens to a more open space where you can snipe or do whatever you want to do. Yeah, Bungie has assumed you have played the Halo games before, so they hold back a lot less this time. And it's a better level for it. Great tier. And now, we've moved up to the top 10. The best of the best. In 10th place, we have the Arbiter. This is the first level where you're playing as someone other than Master Chief. I remember a lot of people hated this level back in the day because who the hell is this stupid character? Where's Master Chief? Where's the cool guy in the green suit? But over the years, I feel people have really grown to appreciate what this character adds to the game. The Arbiter is much more complex than Master Chief, and we finally get to see the inner workings of the Covenant. This is fascinating. I would much rather play as the Arbiter than Master Chief. This is cooler to me. As for the level itself, as the Arbiter, you were tasked to take down heretics. So, you're effectively fighting more Covenant. And that's fine by me. I love these enemies. Also, you get a badass Incubus song that I can't play in here due to copyright reasons. Just like the Arbiter. This level is amazing. It goes into amazing tier. At 9th place, we have the highest ranking flood level out of the entire franchise. 343 Guilty Spark. What is there to say about this level that hasn't already been said? Unlike the other Halo levels, this isn't just a clown closet of non-stop flood. In fact, you don't know what it is. You just know the Covenant are terrified of something, and you need to stop keys. This level almost goes full-on horror. The reveal of the flood is absolutely perfect. It's only a shame that the level immediately after is the library, but for 343 Guilty Spark, it goes into amazing tier. In 8th place, we have Delta Halo. Oh man, this music. The level starts with you dropping down onto another Halo ring. I distinctly remember going, ugh, another one, when I first played Halo 2. But once you know how the rest of the story goes and how much more sense that makes, that's not really a bad thing. I guess I was just excited to be on Earth again, and then we went back to Halo. But with everything I know now, I wouldn't change any of that. Anyway, you land in drop pods and fuck the Covenant up. Always fun. And then you get a choice of what vehicle you want to use. Do you want to take it slow and destroy everything with a tank? Or do you want to just speed through with a ghost? Then you get a brief area of beautiful canyons and waterfalls where you counter snipe before the level ends. Good gameplay variety, good visual variety, overall, amazing level. In 7th place, we have Metropolis. Once again, this level starts out with a choice. You can either take things slow with a tank, or get in the Warthog and drive all the way across the bridge right away. If you're like me, you take the tank the first few times you play the game, and then you get into the Warthog for the next 15 years or whatever because the tank is too slow. Anyway, the vehicle combat is fun no matter what you decide to choose. And for Halo 2, this scenery is pretty. I like big cities. Look at the big city. We're on Earth. And it all climaxes with you jumping onto a scarab and destroying it from the inside. That's awesome. Or should I say amazing? Amazing tier. Predictably, 6th place is Outskirts. It's the level that comes before Metropolis. As a reminder, we're not playing on Legendary, you don't gotta worry about Jackal Sniper Alley. Anywho, we're on Earth for the first time in Halo history. I remember being really excited about this. Just the scenery change and being somewhere more relatable. I don't know, it was cool, it was fun. This level has a lot of set pieces in dense urban areas, and that's always fun to me. Or you can just jump on the rooftops and skip everything, which was definitely not intended, but it is possible. After this, you get into a Warthog for some sick jumps, and if you want to, you can kill everything, or you can just keep on driving. But unlike the other levels where I criticize it for saying skipping by everything is the optimal way to play the game, here, it's fun to fight if you want to stick around, or it's fun to keep driving. It's fun either way, so I don't really have that criticism. So yeah, amazing tier, solid level. In 5th place, we have the Storm. Starts off with a lot of good, fun, close quarter combat, but then dumps you into fighting an actual scarab for the first time. Unlike Halo 2, where the scarab just walked in a predictable path and you didn't really interact with it, in Halo 3, you jump onto it. You actually destroy it in real time and watch the ridiculous amount of bloom. This was so badass the first time I played it, it's still badass now. And at the end of the level, you get dumped into this fight. I don't really know what it is about this combat sequence that I find so fun, but yeah, take over the hilltop to end the level. Fantastic level, belongs in top 10, amazing level. In 4th place, we have the Ark. Talk about a change of scenery. We're in the desert now, and we end up going from sniping to using a vehicle to being pushed around by a spaceship to fighting another scarab to fighting a bunch of brutes in front of some pretty waterfalls. Yeah, a top 5 level, amazing tier for sure. In 3rd place, we have the Maw. This is the one exception to the backtracking, but now with an awful enemy tier. Because even though, yeah, you have been in the Pillar of Autumn before, it wasn't destroyed like this. And in a lot of these rooms, you never fought in them. And half of the level you had never accessed before anyway. So this level doesn't really feel like backtracking because most of the time, you're not. And in the few parts you are, you really get to see how destroyed that ship is. This is where the game started, and this is where it ends. Fighting through the dilapidated Pillar of Autumn is just a lot of fun. But really where this level became legendary is the Warthog run. Ignoring how it makes absolutely zero sense in a spaceship, who cares? This is fun. It's just a time trial where you're driving a Warthog. You've drove this vehicle plenty times throughout the game, but never under this context. You're not trying to kill, you're just trying to leave. There's some huge jumps and a bit of pressure on you, but the time isn't too strict. It was such a well-received way to end a game that they were gonna add it into Halo 2 and then ran out of time, but then added it into Halo 3. Yeah, I've always loved how CE ends, and this level deserves top 3. Amazing tier for sure. In 2nd place, we have the Covenant. Humans and the elites are fully sharing their resources, and they're both storming this beach. The initial beach invasion is a lot of fun. You get to use the Spartan laser and just enjoy your time. You get to go to the inner parts of the island, fight some brute chieftains, fly a Halo Hornet, which is not really something you get to do very much, fight 2 scarabs at once. If I have to think of one specific combat encounter that is the best of all of Halo, this might just be it. Hell, you even team up with the Flood at one point. Yeah, this level is very worthy of 2nd place. For most franchises, it would be 1st. Amazing tier for sure. That leaves only one level left. The one that is fairly predictable, the Silent Cartographer. This level is so good, it indirectly got a Half-Life 2 modder hired at Valve. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. The way this level is designed is that it holds your hand without holding your hand at all, and you'll never even notice. This level is an island. No matter which direction you drive, you will end up at the objective. You will get to where you need to go. Then you will explore the inner portions of the island, go underground in the middle of the island to get the objective, and then leave the same way you came, opening up new fights along the way, and the level ends. There's a Half-Life 2 mod that goes by the name of Minerva Metastasis, and yeah, it's basically the Silent Cartographer. But this mod was so good that Valve hired the modder as a mapper. I actually came across the modder in a Reddit thread years ago and asked him about this. I asked him how inspired by Halo was this level, and he replied with, originally, the map was nicknamed Flatulent Geographer. I deliberately stayed away from Halo while building this map, afraid to be inspired beyond the barest essentials. I accidentally ended up a bit closer than I'd hoped. The Silent Cartographer is a beautiful bit of design that makes so much sense it's almost obvious. Start with a basic idea, and everything emerges from that. It's apparently good enough for Valve, which is amusing because Halo was partly inspired by Half-Life. Yeah, this is the best Halo level of all time, and it was a pretty easy pick for me. I love this level. Hey, huge thanks to my channel members. They make videos like this possible, and they get to see my videos early. They pay some of my bills, and it really helps. Thank you guys so much. If you want to support me in other ways, then you can watch my other stuff. Here's a big playlist of videos just like this one. There's a recommended video over there. You can subscribe here or follow my Twitch. I stream very often. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time.